There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we
that would help. Welcome, you are welcome here. It is another day with Ade. This is the House of Love. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are at this very moment in time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in, and especially tuning into yourself first, and then giving yourself permission to be transformed. Because when you tune in, you got to listen. When you listen, you're available for transformation. And if you're not available for transformation, you may just feel like life is just being hard on you or punishing you, because it's about that time. I mean, I remember 10 years ago, probably longer, I was telling Ricky on the last show we did, that 10, 15 years ago, when I go back to listen to those shows, I hear myself saying, there's a lot going on. Oh my God, there's a lot going on. And it seems like they never stopped. So clearly, it must mean that every day, and even after we've gone, there's always going to be a lot going on. Anyway, thank you for making yourself available for transformation. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist. My mission on this planet is to create sacred space, is to create the space for you to fall in love with yourself. So even if you can't fall in love with the things that you judge about yourself, you're willing to sit with them long enough to get the message, to ask, what is the lesson here? Because if we run from the mess, if we're running from things that we're struggling with, it's going to continue to chase us. The minute we stop to face it, it stops like, oh, okay. And then you ask the thing that's chasing you, the people that are chasing you, it's like, what do you want? They're like, I don't know. You were running, so I ran. I was just running behind you. And you realize you're just running for no reason. But you've developed your muscles. You're like, I feel very fit now from running from my issue. So you're going to win anyway. So you can keep running. You're going to be stronger. When you face it, you're going to be stronger. You get to choose. And the blessing of it all is God is with you. The divine is with you right where you are. Welcome to another episode of Being You. Ade Presents Being You. The Journey Back to Yourself, Season 3, Episode 10. Today's Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. We are in the month of March where we're moving along. And those of you who've been listening to me for a long time already know what this month is about, right? You know about March. It is the most important month of the year. All the other months, they're just extras. You know, I don't know why I feel that way. Just March is just, there's something about it. Spring, the equinox, a lot of things happen. You know, so I just want you to know March is the best month of the year. You know, I'm not biased for any reasons. I'm getting some eyes. I'm getting some side eye. I'm getting like, no, it's not. I'm getting, yeah, you better be glad I ain't on screen with you. On Being You, we are inviting you to take a look at yourself. We're inviting you to ask yourself, how do I see myself? Like, so the question is, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in the world? How do you see yourself? No, let's start that again. How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? That's all. That one's always trying to hide, because that's the most important thing. Well, one of it anyway. How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? I am Kelly. What's up, Kelly? How are you doing? How do you see the world, Kelly? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? So whatever you're seeing out there, it's got a message for you. It's got a lesson for you. You are the projector, projecting onto the screen of life. So whatever you call it, whether you resist it, whether you embrace it, it's all happening here. You're the one resisting. You're the one embracing. You can embrace something that you were once resisting and you feel different about it. And you don't have to. Really, there's nothing we have to do. We get to do it. We choose to do it. And it is what it is. So, you know, life is quite simple. We make it complicated. And speaking of March being the most important month of the year, happy Women's History Month. Happy Women's History Month to humanity. And thank you, women, for all you do, places where you're not being acknowledged. And when you're acknowledged, just for just, you know, being the space where life develops and grows and you pass it on. And life is not just about having a child. Life shows up in so many ways. You have a way of holding life and supporting us in birthing life. The part of you that creates that incubator for ideas. I know what I'm talking about. And I know you do. So, speaking of women, I got my regular listeners, my co-president of their Life Conversations Club. Kwali is in the house. How are you doing, Kwali? Yay, Kwali. What about you didn't say hello to Angie and Angela? What's that about? Come on now, Kwali. You gotta say hello to Angie now. Angie feels left behind. Who is that? Don't worry. Just say hello to her. She knows. She said, hi, Ade. Hey, Ade, Leslie, and Rev D. It's a blessed day. It is indeed, because we say it is so. And New Jay said, be careful with their March birthday person. Well, I'm a little bit on the generous side. I may consider some people in April, as April, half of April being, I don't know yet, but March is the most important month of the year. I mean, Google it. Google will tell you. Did you know that, I didn't know this. I actually just found out just before the show that Women's History Month was started in 1978. And most of you are probably like, yes. What was even more surprising for me is it was started by, what I found, a teacher. And the reason she started, how it started was she noticed that there was not a lot of women in her students' history books. So she set out to change some shift. Like, we're not having that. 1978. Can you believe that? That was like last week. And so she helped create they don't have a name, which is interesting. I didn't see a name. If you know her name, let us know. Who started it? Maybe you find another information like, no, that's not true. You started way before 1978. But anyway, according to the information I found, it was started in 1978. And this teacher helped to create a Women's History Week for the district, which is in the district, or where is it? Sonoma County, California, in 1978. But if you have other information, please do share. But where it led me is, it's amazing how one person can create something that outlives them. And all of us, each and every one of us, have the opportunity to create something, to start something, to be about something that outlives us. Because your legacy is not after you've gone. Your legacy is now. Everything that you're creating right now is your legacy. So I'm curious to find out what some of you are creating. I want to say particularly the woman. Yeah, let's do that. Even though most of my listeners are women. So it's like, I know you're creating babies, you're creating visions, you're creating dreams, you're creating different ideas. What are the things that you're creating? What are the things that you want to create? What are the things that you're doing in society that will change society, because you've looked around and saying it doesn't have to be. And maybe you have some ideas that there's some things you want to create, or things you want to change, things you want to implement, but you're kind of like, I don't know. I think people are going to think I'm crazy. This is a safe place for people who are weird and crazy. So you can feel free to share. And if you really want to create it, if you're really about it, and you share it, once you've allowed, well, part of the integration is speaking it out loud, but let your spirit be your guide. By sharing it, you're actually giving yourself permission to attract the resources. So I'm curious to find out what you've created, what you're creating, what you're doing in the world, what you would like to see change. Sometimes just by our nature, it's easy to look at what is happening, and we want to highlight why what is happening is wrong, or we can do better. And it does take some kind of courage to build something new. So I'm curious to hear what you're sharing. Today's topic, of course, is divine feminine. What is that? What does it mean? That's another thing you can share with us. What does it mean to you? We hear a lot about it. We sometimes is genderized. Sometimes we're told it's an energy. Well, let's hear what your thoughts are about it. Rev D is going to be here soon, so I know some of you are like, come on, where's Rev D? She's coming. She's downloading what she needs. She's in the meditation room. She hasn't made it to the green room yet. So anyway, moving right along, join us on the main broadcast platform, facebook.com/Being You Podcast. On Facebook, of course, for a more interactive chat. We get to see who's there. And as I've always said, we're trying to build that page so you can help us by being on there. Kwali is like, I'm there already. What you talking about? I'm right there. And Quali said, "Oh, blessings, Angie. I was afraid to put someone else's name. I don't have the best memory." Yes, you do. You just have a way of releasing stuff that you don't need, so you make room for something new. How are you, Quali? You're a teacher, right? Oh yeah, you can chat. I think you're a teacher. How are you? What are you guys doing in school? Yep. What are you doing in school to teach, convey the message of women's history? I'm really curious. Well, I definitely want to know, but we'll call it curious. What are you sharing? Dottie said, divine family, divine family. I like that, divine family. So that's a single motherhood house. It's a divine family house. Feminine and family. I don't know. I'm making up shift. That's what I'm making up. That's what I'm creating. Dottie said, divine feminine, it's an energy. I like that. One of the things I've been pondering most of the time when I have a topic, I'm always thinking, what does it mean to me? How does it look? And I just allow myself to entertain some questions. Like, how do we know when we're expressing it? Is there a way to know? What are the qualities of divine feminine? Share. And once again, I need to tell you, if you are watching the podcast, Ade Presents Being You, this show, if you're watching it on another page, chances are we won't see you. So if you want us to see you, if you have a comment, if you want something you want to post that you want us to see, recognize, acknowledge, or you have questions, go to the Being You podcast page, which is the facebook.com/Being You podcast. So that way, if you're on YouTube, we can see you. If you're on other pages, we can see you. But particularly those of you who are watching via Facebook, because I know this link is shared on several platforms, Rev D's platform, Inner Light Ministries page. So if you have any questions, any thought, do go to the Being You podcast page. And while I'm actually talking about that, because I know this is on Rev D's page, let me see if you know what? I don't need to do that. I keep forgetting that this is a community. I keep thinking I'm alone. So she's ahead of me anyway. So Leslie, do you mind checking Rev D's page for me? Just this time, because we were trying to get them. So, do you know the link? Do you know how to get there? Rev D's page on Facebook. It's facebook.com. Yeah, facebook.com/Rev, REV, Deborah is what? No, nothing. No, nothing, whatever that means. She understands. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you figure it out. So Quali said, my husband is a teacher in the family. Oh, really? She said, why did I think you were a teacher, Quali? Anyway, let me read what you said. She said, my husband is the teacher in the family. I teach my daughters and their friends about self-care and being true to themselves first. I guess I'm a teacher in many ways, but not in the school system. I'm the healer in the family. That's perfect. You got the healer and the teacher. Woo-wee! That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, and we're all teachers. They're teachers in the educational system, and all of us are teachers because we're teaching by our action and we teach by our non-action. And it's I like that. I'm also really curious. Let me see something here. Something going on. And I think that's so important when it comes to talking to young girls. All right, I think that's cool then. When we're talking to young girls, there are many things. The way we raise young girls and the way we raise boys is often different. We have the boys go out in the world and be wild. And we keep the young girls, protect them. And sometimes the same parent, particularly, well, I don't know, I'm not going to say particularly, but the same I'm making this up, okay? And if you feel free to disagree with me. But the same parent that might be telling the son, go out there and be wild, it's like, little girl, you better protect yourself. Which is kind of jacked up. If you're telling the boys to go out there and sow their oats, how are they going to do that? You want them to do it with some other young girls, but not yours? it's sometimes we just got to check the things that we do and how we're doing it. We need to teach our young people. We need to have conversations with them earlier, conversations about who they are, their spiritual nature, their sexuality. And remind them that they are sexual beings. Some people say, I'm not a sexual being. Don't sexualize. We are sexual beings. We are creative beings. Your spiritual energy is your sexual energy. You were birthed out of a sexual energy. So you are that. You're a sexual being. You're a creative being. You can call yourself a human being if you want. You're a spiritual being. You're all of that. And we need to start having conversations. Parents are doing now. Things are changing. But I feel like we're living in this world right now where we can't pretend that it's not time. It's not time. And the gift that we give them now and how we work with our young people, how we communicate with them, prepares them for the future. Sometimes we worry about things that would never happen. And those ideas become a political party. And the things that we're creating a political party about that may never happen distracts us from the thing that is really important. Because when you teach your children about who they are, their connection to the divine and their power to create and recreate and honoring themselves as a woman, as a girl, as a boy, as a young man, as a young woman, don't matter what the future comes, whatever the future throws at them, you've instilled enough spiritual ideas for them to find their own way. It's not easy, but that's the work. Dottie said, all the spiritual qualities from the source energy. She said the divine feminine. I love that. It's all the spiritual qualities from the source energy. That's it. Everything. And so earlier I'd asked, how do you know when you're expressing divine feminine? And it's really interesting. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I'm going to tell you because I'm going to wait for Rev D so we can have a conversation. All we got to do is ask Rev D one question. I'm just like, okay, I got it. And we're like, whoa, Rev D. Like, next. But, it amazes me when particularly men can't be with the idea that, oh yeah, that's true. Can't be with the idea that they are part, that within them is a feminine energy. At the very least, your mother is part of you. So whether you like it or not, there's a feminine energy in you. You may not call it the divine feminine, but in fact, to really scare some men who can't be with it, there's a woman inside of you. You better embrace her. All right. What else do I need to tell you? I need to tell you about announcements. That's right. So I want to tell you about Libsyn. It's a podcast hosting site, which I partnered with. One of the things I love about them is they offer unlimited storage. So if you're thinking of starting a podcast, you have one, and maybe you have to keep deleting your files because you only have 3 months to have it up there before they delete it. With Libsyn, you can have all your audio on there, and they send your podcast to all the main podcast platforms. Check it out, libsyn.com, libsyn.com, and you can sign up using this promo code, ADE, ADE. If you do use that promo code, you're in for some goodies. You get 1 month free. However, there's a trick to that. Like today is March 2nd. If you sign up today, you will get the whole of March free. You won't have to pay. That's what free means. And then the whole of April free. Okay? If you sign up in the middle or towards the end, you just get the rest of this month. However, if you don't sign up until next, okay, I see internet doing something crazy. If you don't sign up until next month, April, if that's when you're going to sign up, don't sign up on the 1st. Because if you sign up on the 1st, you ain't going to get nothing for the month of April. But you will get May free. Okay? If you have any questions, send me. Let me know. I'll be happy to answer the question for you. That's Libsyn, LIBSYN.com, and use the promo code ADE. Ade. It's simple. I'm telling you, it is. You can't lose with the stuff I use. Also, I want to tell you about a show that Ricky Byers and I produce and co-host, Soul Fulfilling, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 2 a.m. UK time on a Thursday morning, that is. So fulfilling, soulful songs and soulful conversations. The beauty of it is, for those of you who know Ricky Byers, sometimes you may hear the history, how she birthed the song, and stories. Ricky has stories for days. You know I have stories, but it's just such a powerful hour together, and it's a healing space. It's a sacred space. So I invite you to join us every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 2 a.m. on Thursday morning UK time. All right, Rev D will be here soon, but I might go ahead and just read her bio because I want to bring her on when she comes in. But I still have my questions out there. How are you celebrating yourself as a woman? What are things in the world that you see needs to change or can be different that you would like to create? What are things you want to create? What are you working on? What have you created? What things have you done maybe while you were working in the job you had before that you created that is still going strong today? And how are you even nurturing yourself? Woo! That's a big one for women, because society tells you got to keep giving, keep loving, being unconditional. You got to do it. Sometimes we don't even give you space to say, sometimes I don't even want to be a mother. I don't say that. No, women need space to say, sometimes I regret having children. If you feel that. Some parents don't feel that, but if you do, we got to create space for people to tell their truth. It doesn't mean that, they're trying to get rid of their children, but sometimes there are things that come up for us all the time. Things come up for us, and we need a safe space to speak our truth. If you're a single mother, if you're in a relationship, maybe, you're in a relationship where your partner, your husband, your whatever name you want to call it, it's not supporting you. How are you honoring yourself? How are you celebrating yourself? That's important. And that's the I don't want to say catch. I'll say that's the trick in life, because there's a lot of information out there about life, about the divine, about what we need to create and what the world needs. But sometimes we move away from receiving. Like giving is easy. You can kind of fake it if you want to. To receive, there's judgment around that, because we've been told to just be selfless. That means you are spiritual by giving of yourself. But if you're just giving and not receiving, there's imbalance there. I know that's right. Quality said they get on my nerves sometimes. And that's real. I don't think any parent would disagree with you on that. And the ones who disagree with you, they ain't telling the truth. I just tell them, you lie. You's a lie. I mean, of course. And we need space to honor that and acknowledge it. So Rev D should be here in a few minutes. And just in case, just basically she's teaching a class and she finishes in about 30 minutes. So when she comes here, she's going to keep going. So, and I want to honor our time together in her space. So I'm going to just read her bio now. And because she doesn't need to be here to hear her bio, she knows what she's doing. So Reverend Deborah L. Johnson, also known as Rev D, is a lifelong social justice activist with a passion for healing social, political, and cultural divide. We need to celebrate. I would like to do something to celebrate Rev D. She's not here, so don't tell her I said this. Unless she listens to the archive. Founder of Inner Light Ministries, board member of the Pachamama Alliance, and founding member with Michael Bernard Beckwith of the Agape International Spiritual Center. She is also the author of The Sacred Yes and Your Deepest Intent. And I'll tell you all the time, let's talk about that. I tell you all the time, if you don't have the sacred yes or your deepest intent, get it. And I'm not going to tell you that there are no other books like it, but there are no other books like it because every book is unique And there's something about the words, the power. I know for me, it's always on point. I'm in this habit now where I just, every morning, normally I read a chapter, I just open up to a page. Always on point. Always on point. Some people do it with Bible. They open the Bible to a page and it's just what they need, what they require in that moment. But the sacred yes, or your deepest intent, or both, all that we're going through right now is in there. All that America is going through is in there, in your deepest intent. And there's a crumbling happening in America. But that's a whole different, well, actually, we may get to it. I don't know. Dottie, thank you for that transparency. Dottie said, I don't receive well. And I'm curious, Dottie, if you want to say more about that. When you say you don't receive well, what does that look like? If someone is trying to, and it's not just Dottie, because she's speaking for a lot of us, there are ways where I kind of push the gift away, and I'm thinking, but I don't know why we do it. I have some ideas. I have my own theory, but Dottie, I'm curious to hear what that looks like. And anybody else, what does that look like for you? If you can say, yeah, I'm like that. What is it about us not receiving? Why don't we receive? Why are we not a good, great receiver? Why do we It's funny. Why do we resist receiving, yet we're doing vision boards, we're praying, we're affirming to receive? So when you think about praying and affirming to receive, but then we're not great receivers, and I'm not talking about you, Dottie, I'm just talking myself. I'm constantly in prayer, affirming, and then sometimes when things shows up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. And like I said earlier, I open up the sacred yes or your deepest intent to a page, and it's just bam. And I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. It's like, what you're calling overwhelm is abundance. You asked for this. I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. So here I am thinking like, this is too much. Help me manage it. This is what you're asking for, and you will have the capacity to deal with it. Just relax. So if we're praying, affirming for things to come, and we're visualizing and wanting the best and the highest and best, and God answered my prayer, and then we like, I can't receive. Actually, that's very good, Dottie. I'm glad you really brought that up, because receiving, I believe, is part of that divine feminine. But I won't say too much about it, because my sister, my friend, is here, because by the time she gets in here, I'll be like, you know what I said at the beginning of the show? Never mind. Pretend you didn't hear that. So I'm going to bring Rev D on. She's here. I just read your bio, Rev D. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, physical beings and non-physical beings, help me welcome my mentor, my friend, my sister, myself. Hey, Rev D.
Hey there. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. You tested me, man. When I know you're going to be a little bit late, I'm like, I ain't saying too much about the topic. I just refuse.
No, it's all good. Everybody's on the path.
Yes,
we're on the path. We all have something to say. We're all students and teachers of each other. That's for sure. And I respect and I welcome your journey. I learn from you too.
That's one of the things I love about you. I'm grateful for about you, because you have a way when I'm all in my own conversation, or even while I'm joking, you bring me back to my center. Thank you. So we are talking about just asking listeners different things. But I'm going to welcome you. But I just want to put this out there. Dottie in the chat room said, I don't receive very well. I'm just thinking, what is that about? We pray, we affirm, we say we want something, a new life, a new job, a new relationship. But most of us, I know I can be like that, where it's like, when I might say I don't receive very well. So I asked, what is that? So Ellen said, I struggle with receiving too. It's like guilt or shame around my worthiness, not wanting to seem greedy and ungrateful. Dottie said, I feel embarrassed. Don't know why. That's the word, resisting.
Well, can I respond?
There's no way I'm going to think. I'm like, I should have started the other way. But of course, I know you come in ready. Go ahead, FD.
We got to decolonize our minds. We have to decolonize our mind. All of that is stuff that's put on us from the outside to make us think that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve. So I don't even have to worry about competing with you because you're not going to show up. I don't even I don't even have to worry about sharing the pie, because even if I give you a piece, you're not going to take it. We've been bamboozled. Like Malcolm X says it, we've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. Now, if you think about this for a moment, when a baby is born, a baby is completely and totally dependent, right?
Yeah.
Why does a baby deserve anything? You ain't paid into Social Security. You haven't worked. You haven't made any contribution. What bootstraps have you pulled yourself on? You just mooching. You're just mooching off everybody else. And you expect to get your needs met. Who are you? Why does a baby deserve? Because it just is. Because the baby's a human being. Because the baby's alive. The baby ain't tripping about, I don't know if I'm good enough to receive this bottle. This is a gold bottle. I can't have nothing but plastic. Woo, this is a nice comfy blanket. No, I just throw me a little sweater or something. Baby ain't tripping all that. Baby is just, I'm here. I'm here. And furthermore, we're not tripping. We're not doing that stuff to the baby. We're not sending the baby through all kind of litmus tests before we show up and care. I've done prison outreach for a couple of decades now. And we've worked a lot with the Muslim American Society in the prisons. The Muslim chaplain, the Imam Michael Salam, I'm still friends with him. He just recently retired. And I remember this thing that he would say sometimes, these big interfaith events or whatever we were there for. And he would say, all babies speak the same language. They all speak the same language. He says, and if you listen enough, you learn the difference. You learn this one means I'm hungry, feed me. This one means I'm wet, change me. This one means I'm sleepy. Cut out all that noise. I need to go to sleep. This one means that he says, you learn to figure it out so you can respond appropriately. And then he just stopped and said, and when did you stop hearing my cry? When did we stop hearing each other's cry and being able to respond to that? In the New Testament, there's a Greek word charis, from which we get the word charity. It's often translated as grace. Sometimes it's translated as love. It is defined as unmerited favor. Unmerited favor. And too often, we think of unmerited being undeserving. It's not unmerited because you don't deserve it. It's unmerited because it cannot be earned. It's God's provision for us just because. The way that we would provide for a baby or small children, just because. So we're the ones that take ourselves out of the loop. We're the ones. God's trying to provide for us all the time. And we've got to quit coming up with the reasons why it shouldn't be us. God just wants a yes. Why not you? Why not?
Like Quali said, Rev D coming in hard. Rev D comes in ready, swinging. She just finished teaching the class. She's in there next. Next. Like, we're going to need some more balls. Y'all don't stay in the field. Just go all the way out.
Yes, it's already given.
Yes. It's already given. So it's when you said earlier,
you know, there's this crown that's next to my head here on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that James Baldwin put it. Mm-hmm. He said, the crown has already been bought and paid for. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is put it on your head. Mm-hmm. When we think about all that the ancestors went through, for us to be alive in this moment with this much privilege, technology, and education, and freedom just to be here. When you think about all that it has taken, and now the ball's in our hand.
Indeed. Yeah. There's more in some of the things that people have shared. But I think really when you said earlier, it's like it's almost like we're trying to convince God why we don't deserve. And God said, you already deserve. You're just by default, the fact that you exist. So I guess those things about worthiness that we feeling embarrassed is to just confront them or just recognize it's there while saying yes, right? The sacred yes. That the more we say, as we say yes to life, we give less attention to the embarrassment and the unworthiness.
Can I share a letter?
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course. Yes, please.
So this is coming from the Sacred Yes. Okay. And it's actually the shortest letter in the whole book, which is why I can share this on this show. Ordinarily, I'd be doing a screen share or something like that. And this particular letter is called Accept My Praise. Accept My Praise. It's on page 176. And the context for this is actually a letter that came to my choir and me. We were singing Richard Smallwood's I Give You Praise. And we're going just deeper into that. And one of the lines in that song is about, Lord, you are my dwelling place. And your dwelling place is where you live, not to be confused with your residence. Your residence is where you have your stuff, but you come and you go. And most of your day is probably not spent in your residence, at least pre-COVID.
Right.
At least pre-COVID. But you take you with you wherever you go. Mm-hmm. Your dwelling place is your place in consciousness. That's where you live. That's where you live. So I'm going to share this, and I'm going to share it the best of my recollection of how I got it, how I heard it. So the messages come in the full form of a letter, punctuation, everything. I record it, and what you see in the series are transcriptions. So if anybody has the books, I encourage you to actually read them out loud, because then you hear the rhythm and the cadence. Yeah. This is called Accept My Praise. It says, yes, it is good that all of you sing my praise. However, I sing your praise as well. You sing with all of your heart, and you want me to hear your adoration for me. I also sing with all of my heart, and I desire that you hear my adoration for you. You are indeed my crowning jewel of all of my creations. You are me in the flesh. You are my hands, my feet, my voice. I give you my mind to use. It is my heart that you feel with. Do you feel me in your heart? I am forever singing your praises, always reminding you that you are so much more than what has happened to you. You are beauty, power, and serenity in the making. You are a treasure to behold, special in your own unique right. You are full of my richness. I try to tell you this all the time. Will you listen to me? When I tell you that you are wonderful just the way that you are, do you hear me? When I tell you that nothing can stand in your way, that you are bigger than your problems, do you believe me? I sing your praises at every moment of the day. You have been told that it is egotistical to have your praises sung to you. So, what is the glory in never being praised? It is not egotistical to accept my praise. It is egotistical not to. When you do not accept my praise of you, you are placing your opinion of yourself above mine. This, my little ones, is blasphemous. Do not blaspheme me by throwing my adoration for you back in my face. You know how you feel when someone will not accept the love that you want to give them, when they cannot feel it no matter how hard you try to share yourself with them. Well, if I had human feelings, this is how I would feel when you refuse my love. Fortunately, I hold neither grudges nor resentments. I simply await your conscious recognition of who you are. I am patient, and I will never give up on you. No matter how hard you are on yourselves, I am always compassionate and understanding. The sad part is that you project your own feelings about yourself onto others, as well as onto me. Whereas the others will always reflect back to you your own consciousness, I can only reflect back to you your own truth. And that's with a capital T now. Your own truth, which you most often are not conscious of. What is it that I want you to know? I want you to know that you are fundamentally good, that you can only demonstrate what you know. Don't berate yourself for what you've done or not done. Get to know yourself, your real self, with the capital S. Get to know your real self better. How will you know what your real self is? I will tell you. I always do. Stop arguing with me. I try to tell you about your possibilities, and you counter with your limitations. I try to show you abundance, and you speak of lack. Just soak in my praise for you. Walk outside. Throw up your hands to the sky. See what I have to say. Walk on the beach. Marvel at the stars. Smell the flowers. Ask each of them what I think of you. And they will tell you, am I really your dwelling place? If I am, then what is this strange decor that doesn't reflect who you are? Yes, I am your dwelling place, but it's time to redecorate. Your inner design is more important than your outer facade. I love you. I see you. I know who you are, and I like what I see. When you praise me, praise the you that is within me. You can't praise me and not praise everything that I am about. I am about you. When you hear my praise, you will know that you are the melody in my song of life. Sing with me. Harmonize with me. We can make such sweet music together. Shall we dance?
Yes, please. Ooh. Yep. I like how you address that question about dealing with unworthiness, embarrassment. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Rev D. I feel like the show has ended, but no, we got some more time because it's all been said. However, I do want us to sort of talk about divine feminine in the sense that really just bringing everybody on the same playing field, since we've been using that as an analogy. How do you define divine feminine? What is it? And is it gender-based?
Well, you know, I say all the time that you can't put the infinite into finite terms. Mm-hmm. What I can say is that the world is always in a perfect balance. Mm. And that in the wholeness of everything, there are yin and yang aspects. So feminine would be considered the yin, and the yang would be considered the masculine, which is not to be confused with individual people or with sex, because each sex is a beautiful balance of both masculine and feminine, right down to our hormones. It's this incredible balance. What the yin represents is the stuff of the inner, the intuitive, the nurturing, the maternal, the healing. If we think of the earth, which is usually the prime example of the feminine, there's a reason why we call it Mother Earth. Everything comes out of her, and she receives everything back. And her power is so strong that as she receives everything back, she's able to transform it. She's able to take all the crap and turn it into fertilizer so that it blesses what's next. Yes. I remember being extremely frustrated with my Church of God in Christ upbringing, that with its colonized mentality around its God construct, had male as super patriarchal, where there was no feminine energy. I used to marvel at my Catholic friends who had all of these saints and Mother Mary. You know, there wasn't no Mother Mary in the Pentecostal church. There was just Jesus, and that's it.
That's it.
There wasn't Saint so and so. There wasn't, you know, no. You didn't have your patron nothing looking up. Jesus. That's it. Jesus.
And don't ask any questions either.
And don't ask any questions. And it seemed so strange to me that creation was coming out of all masculine energy. So I was, I guess, about 30 when I first entered ministerial school. I didn't actually finish it until I was 40, but that's another story. But when I entered it, I entered it right out of practitioner training. And I was in my first metaphysical Bible interpretation class, and we were learning about Hebrew, which is the language of the Old Testament, and Greek, the language of the New Testament. And I was too through. I remember walking around. I was like that done. In the beginning, which are the opening lines of the Bible, to find out in Hebrew, beginning is feminine. Hebrew has genderized words, and beginning is feminine. And I remember thinking, I've been mad all these years, and it's right there in the language. Furthermore, we say Adam. There's actually two creation stories of the people, but it's really Adam from the Adoma. Adama. Just Google it, look it up. The Adoma is Mother Earth. And Adam is not a man. Adam literally means a reddish clay color. It's earth being. Adam is earth being, which is why in the first creation story, it represents all of humanity. When it says in the first creation story about being made in our likeness and image, one is masculine and one is feminine. And it has nothing to do with physicality. It's character. It's capabilities. And we have to decolonize our minds. Because the Western society that we've been indoctrinated into, in its patriarchal supremacy, is misogynistic. It devalues the feminine. And we have that bad. And we see that everywhere, where we're off balance because we do not value anything that we think is feminine. We see it everywhere, in pay structures, in what's important or not important, the way we put a premium on intellectual analysis and logic, which are very yang approaches, as opposed to an intuitive, deep understanding. There was more balance. It's like more indigenous cultures, you'll have more balance to that. And we've gotten out of it, where most of the Old Testament is about dreams, visions, miracles, deep mysticism. Now, you know, if you can't put it under a microscope, it doesn't even exist.
Right.
Visionaries, prophets, what's that?
Right.
Our minds have been colonized. And as sure as I'm sitting here, no one was more mentally colonized than I was. I was right up there with the best, and had to really learn how to value things like vulnerability, you know, had to value the things that ease and flow and grace and the peace that passes human understanding. Yeah. And I dare say that when we're in that I can't receive, we're not in real balance with our yin. That's our yang. That's our colonized masculine that's keeping a ledger, journal, that's being critical and judgmental and what you deserve, like what you don't deserve. But the yin in you is just with the flow. The yin in you is like, ooh, girl, thank you. Ooh, ain't God good?
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Look at what's coming now. Oh,
hey.
Lord, you just showing out now. Oh, and you can't wait to pass the blessing on. You can't wait to share it. There's another letter that I highly, highly, highly recommend that people read in the Sacred Yes. Birthing versus building. It is excellent on this. Yes. And how even in our creative endeavors, we've got to learn to birth more. And what it's like to be of service in that vein. As opposed to always have the consciousness of building, where you're looking at what you're building to take care of you, instead of you're birthing something that's sacred and you're honored to even just be a process of its unfoldment, where you don't have a lot of possession about the stuff that's coming through you, because you sense that it has its own destiny. It's just a completely different way of relating to stuff. Yeah. Where you don't feel like everything's just on your shoulders. You understand that process of the gestation where you are an environment. Like the letter says, when you're birthing something, the most important thing for you to do is just take care of yourself. You can't get in there. You can't make the seeds, the cells split any more than if it was a plant. You can't get in there and, you know, make the roots come down out the seed. And when you're really into the yin, you recognize that you are part of a co-creative activity that is taking place a rhythm, an order, a caring and inclusiveness, the sun that makes its light to shine on the just and the unjust. That part of you that can show up in the oneness and the unconditional loving. Not that you don't have any conditions, but that you don't put conditions on your loving. That you love people even when they don't meet your condition. To be in that state of unconditional love which is being in a state of perpetual forgiveness. Yes. See, that's the yin. See, it's the yang that comes in and rights the wrongs. It's the yang that comes in that shakes everything up and relays the foundation, takes you out of the bondage, and boom, you know. But you need both. Because if you're walking around with just yang and it's not rooted in some deep yin, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out.
Yeah.
And if you're just sitting in yin all the time, it reminds me what they used to tell folks used to say in the church. Woo, girl, she's so heavenly bound, she ain't no earthly good.
Okay. No use. No use. Yeah. So many places I want to go with this, but I'll go with I go this direction. So you talked about Adam or Adama, being of the earth, and I now want to go to Eve, especially Eve is the one that's the reason the world is the way the world is. And I love that body movement. You're like, child, don't. And I remember reading that because I had the intention to kind of really just go through the whole Bible, and I haven't yet. But I started, and I got to the place where it said, because of what Eve did, I'm paraphrasing, that God punished women, and that's why there's menstrual pain. I remember writing, that's BS. I didn't say BS. I wrote under that. Oh, shit. It's like, stop. But then, well, not but. So this other side to that is, at the risk of kind of justifying lies, what's going on in the world right now? Is it part of ushering the divine feminine?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
but
yeah,
see, they're always there, and a new era is dawning. It's literally in the stars. It's like for the past 5,000 to 10,000 years, we've been off, where we have come to associate power now with destruction and the taking of life, as opposed to associating power with birthing, power with creativity, and being able to make things happen, as opposed to prevent things or destroy things. And this notion of what power is, we're on a reclamation now to shifting that. You know, even if you have a commercial, it could be gum, bubble gum. And it's like, you know, to show its power, boom, it's like something's got to explode, you know, all over the place because we miss it. Somebody took the liberty, and I haven't gotten the forgiveness yet. Somebody took the liberty of taking one of my epic spoken word poems, Unity, that actually is like a whole spoken word thing to music and all of the rest of that. And they put visuals to it. And right at this crescendo moment, it's like 10 or 11 minutes, at this crescendo moment, when it says true power is in our unity, they put up the visual image of the atomic bomb. I'm talking about unity. And they have the audacity, and I can't take it down. They have the audacity to represent the power of unity with the most dastardly thing that has ever been done in human evolution, to drop 2 atomic bombs that just wipes out everything. Man, woman, child, kitten, just boom. That's what's got to shift.
Mm.
And that is what is shifting now. That what's calling for is compassion. What's being called for is caring, is listening, is unity, is sharing. You know, this pandemic has been very interesting because it has so pushed us into yin. It's pushed us into having to care, having to support, even having to be there with our children and teach and train them. Something that we used to just, push them out the door. Let somebody else do that. And I've been joking and I've been saying, I bet you teachers start getting a raise now.
Okay. They'll be getting raised and a praise.
I bet you the respect for this traditionally yin thing about caring for the children goes up a few notches in everybody's mind. This yin thing about caring for the sick and taking care of each other, shopping, even making sure there's groceries and all that. I bet you we start having a newfound appreciation.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's a new day.
It's a new day.
Yes.
And you want the balance within yourself. See? And there are a lot of letters in this series, but the giving and the receiving, they're bookends. It's like breathing. Yes, you can exhale and you inhale, but you're not breathing without both. So it's the same thing with the giving and the receiving. That it's like a water hose or something. It's like in and out. Everything from your body, you ingest, you digest, you assimilate, you eliminate, you take in, but then you got to let go. So this whole, if you're constantly letting go and you're not taking in, you got a problem. And if you're always taking in and never letting go, you also got a problem.
Right.
So we need to strive for a balance. We got to strive for a balance.
Well, let's put some respect on Eve's name. What does Eve represent in the Bible? Does she represent the divine feminine? And what's really the truth behind, she came from man's rib and then was powerful enough to get him to go against God?
So there are a lot of different interpretations. Okay. I'm gonna give you one. Okay. You hear me say continuously that there are two creation stories. In the first creation story, males and females are made at the same time. Male and female, they were created. And I believe that's on both levels, not only males and females, but each was created male and female. So that's the first creation story. Okay. The second creation story is a slightly different story that's trying to tell a different thing. The first creation story is evolution. When you look at what predated what, the creepy crawlers, the monsters, like in the ocean, the dinosaurs and whatnot, and then the hoof people and hoof and the wing, and man is last. Humanity is the last in the chain, which is evolution. I still don't understand why we're arguing this, because the Bible has evolution. It starts off with that. So the other story is a different story. And you won't get the story if you think of them as two people. You're going to miss it. It's the yin and the yang. It's two aspects of one earth being. So Adam is first, and Adam is the intellect. And Adam is given a charge to dress and to keep the garden. See, you can order the intellect, you can order the mind, you can't order emotions.
Right.
You can't you can't give commandments to yin. Yin don't deal with commandments. You can give commandments to yang. Okay. So there are these two trees that are in the inner part of the garden, which once again is the inner. There's the tree of life, and there's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Yeah. This is the duality tree. This is knowing, not cognitive knowing, but experiential knowing. This word know also means sexual intercourse. And he knew her in a biblical way. This knowing is an experiential knowing where you're getting your perception of what's right and what's wrong through your sensory experience. And you're being told you can do anything in this garden that you want, but you cannot eat the fruit of that tree. There is a consequence, cone sequence. Not, I'm going to come in here and punish you, but I'm telling you now, there's a consequence. If you eat that fruit, you're going to die to the garden. You cannot live in paradise with duality thinking.
Which is separation, right?
Exactly. So in the story, it says the intellect is lonely. Is lonely. So it tells the story. So Adam is from the earth, like I said, the Adamah from the earth, and then the emotions are coming out of the earth being. The emotions are inside of you. Your emotions are experienced for the most part, like here in your torso, like in your gut, in your heart, in your feeling center in here. That's where it evolves from. So in this story, he's explaining what the commandment is to her. But you've got to look at it from the standpoint of not like two different people, but these different aspects within our own selves. We are seduced at our sensual level. Looks good, feels good. And there's this accountability thing that happens. And this is what goes on. Take it out of male, female. You get tempted at the level of your sensory perception, even when your head knows better. And when your senses go down that part, they try to convince your head. Oh, it's not going to be all that bad. That's the first lie. Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be like God. It's okay. We are forever, as it says in your deepest intent, we are forever before these two trees all the time. And when the accountability comes, because now that they've partaken of this fruit, they're getting into all of this shame and everything. And they're hiding from God. And God says, where are you? What are you doing? And the intellect says, we're naked. This is exactly what I was just talking about earlier. It's like his mind got colonized. Because the response in this allegory is that God says to him, who told you that? And I love that word told. I mean, it's the same as English, but in Hebrew, it really breaks it down. It's to get some piece of it, that there's a spatial distance between the information and the receiver. And the receiver would have never come up with that on their own without it having been shared. And that's when somebody tells me something, I wouldn't have known, I couldn't have come up with that unless you gave me that piece of information. God says, who told you that? Because the you that I made would never be ashamed of who you are. Go back to the earlier part of this session that we've had here. I know we're coming to the end here, but you would never, unless you were told this. And then there's this but that gets passed. Adam says, well, it wasn't me. It was my emotions. Listen, I couldn't help it. I was feeling, I couldn't help it. And the emotions are saying, well, don't blame me. I was tempted. The so-and-so tempted me because it looked so good. Oh, baby, I couldn't help myself. She was just so fine. You know, it's like
I didn't mean to do it.
You know, so it's this passing this accountability thing, you know, down the line. So what happens here when you look at it this way, that you begin to see what the natural consequence is that you're not living in the oneness anymore. You're not living in the paradise. So from here on out, the yang in you, the part of you that's been dressing and keeping the garden and whatnot, you're going to be, it's going to be coming from the sweat of your brow. You're going to be working hard because you're now in duality. With women, it's like your emotions are going to start having pain now. As you reproduce your emotions and your feelings, they're going to get mixed up with all of this duality tree stuff. And you can't stay here. You can't stay in the garden lest that is what is immortalized up in here. And it's like, you can't do it. It's got nothing to do with real women or men, because in the very next thing, you know, they're often marrying these other people, you know, I mean,
that came out of nowhere.
Exactly. And most people think Moses wrote it, you know, as this kind of way to try to explain why do we keep getting ourselves in these jams? And we are forever in front of these two trees. Forever. The other tree is the tree of life. The tree of the oneness. The tree of the goodness. So you can always pick. Do I want to pick the tree of the divine, Or do I want to pick the tree from the knowledge, just the experiential of what's good or bad, and get caught up in all that judgment stuff? And then that's going to impact how I see me. And I'm going to think I'm naked. I'm going to think I'm unworthy. I'm going to think I'm going to have to hide for God. I'm going to think I'm not even worthy to hear God's voice. And that's what we're doing. When we're starting off with this thing about, well, I'm not worthy and I can't receive, we're being Adam and Eve in the garden, eating off the wrong fruit. The garden is yours. Just stay away from that tree.
You know, there's this visual that I've been fighting in my head. You know, in the Black community, when someone is speaking the truth, like friends, and they're dropping knowledge, and all you do is just slapping them like, oh, it's like I feel myself. It's like, Rev D. I'm like, I can't slap Rev D. You're dropping knowledge. So I'm like, been fighting myself.
It's like
good and evil.
my gospel choir director actually looks kind of like you. My gospel choir director is like, Pastor, I just want to throw my shoe at you. I just wanted to just.
I'm like, that's just like, oh, Rev D. I'm like,
I just want to throw my shoe.
Okay. You've been going all morning, and you dropped it. You've dropped the mic. You've dropped the spoon. You dropped the plate. Whoever didn't eat, that's on them because you were serving it up. So thank you. Thank you.
It was good. As always. Peace and blessings to you.
Peace and blessings, Rev D. Anything you want to share with the audience that's happening with Inner Light, or
follow me on social media. I've got a couple of workshops that are coming up, actually that are starting next week that I think are very, very interesting. One is beginning with yes, and that's going to be on Thursdays. On Thursdays, starting on, I guess that's March 8th, I think that is. No.
I mean Thursday or this Thursday?
Yeah. Next week, Thursday. Not
next week. So that's the 12th, I think.
The 12th, yeah.
11th. Next Thursday.
Look it up at social media because I'm going to get mixed up. And I've got one that's also starting on Tuesdays that's cultivating the consciousness of inclusion. Where we're going to be doing social justice work and diversity training. I'm pulling out all my stuff and doing it through spiritual principles and practice. So we're going to be going deep in the letters and also into social justice stuff. And both of those are coming up. And you can also find them on my website, DeborahLJohnson.org. Yeah.
Thank you, Rev D.
All right.
It's time for you to take a nap. I know you're rejuvenated and everything.
I wish I could. Now I'm late for my staff meeting. So I've been sitting in this chair almost 3 hours now.
Thank you.
Take care.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Woo! I'm telling you, in my head, I was slapping Rev just like, oh, you're dropping truth. And then I was resistant. I can't do that. Yes. Marian said, Rev D is always a treat. Oh, she was a full course meal for me. I mean, I think maybe the next show, we're going to talk more about that and talk about, spiritual evolution and evolution. I don't know, but just, I feel like there's so much more there's always more I can squeeze out, but just how she interpret the story of Adam and Eve. Woo-wee. We have a choice. We can eat from the fruit of the good and evil, or recognize the tree and evil. The tree of good and evil is the tree of separation, and we see where that leads us. But the tree of life is the answer. The tree of life is a tree of oneness. It's a tree of togetherness. It's a tree of unity. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for. That's right, Kwali. Kwali said, let's talk about Lilith. Woo-wee! Yeah, that's some power right there. Yes. Dottie said, peace and blessings, Rev D and Ade. Thank you, my dear sister. Pam, thank you for being here. Charlie, yep. Rev DB dropping it because it's hot, Carmen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those of you silent listeners that are not in the chat room, New Jace, thank you, thank you. I'm full. I'm fed. I'm done. I'm dead. You want some more, Leslie, or you good? You good? She said, I'm good. I bet you got notes everywhere. You've written upside down, sideways. Yes, if you want to embody your aha moment, needing a spiritual accountability partner, if you want to call it that. Because, one of the things something that got very clear for me today as a creative and someone who loves freedom, I'm really embracing the idea of structure more than ever before. And one of the things that I'm seeing is, yes, we are freedom-seeking being. We are free, and structure is important. The freedom is the feminine energy, and the structure is the masculine energy. So when you bring the two together, you birth a new reality. And for those of us who are creative, love our freedom, work for self, work with self. The more freedom we have, the more structure we have, the more freedom we experience. So, yeah, if you want to check out what I'm up to or want to deepen your experience, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. And Rev D's website is Deborah with an H, L Johnson.org. Deborah L Johnson.org. And make sure you go to her website. On Facebook, she's Reverend Deborah L. Johnson as well. So just find out what she's doing. What I know for sure is everything we need is right here. It's right here. We just got to decide. We just got to choose if we are going to eat from the tree of life. So some of the questions that you have about what's going on in the world, she's serving it on a weekly basis. So check it out. And Leslie just flashed the innerlightministries.com, which is her spiritual center that she founded, innerlightministries.com. Thank you, beautiful people. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And I'm inviting you to take this consciousness and truly, truly multiply it. As you multiply the consciousness, you embody it. You multiply it by being it. You multiply it by showing up as it. You multiply it by taking what you got from today's show and standing and representing this truth rather than defaulting to, it's just easier to just keep quiet. No, get bold. Holy boldness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's time to release the show, and I'll be back next week. Oh, I want to tell you, I'll just say real quick, we're working on shows where we're bringing some brothers in their house to talk about how they are loving the women in their lives, how they're celebrating women. And also just as important is Black women. Because Black people catch it. I'm not going to say they're always catching it. You're welcome, Kwali. Thank you, New Jace. Thank you, Carmen. But, it's time to show up differently. I'm out. Thank you, Leslie, for all you do, for multitasking, for making it look easy. Like, I got this. I got you, boo, she said. We're out of here. Peace and blessings.
Yeah, when we